Hey, what's up? Welcome back. This video is gonna be different because it's a review of this, which is SoundID reference by Sonarworks. Let's dive into it. What is SoundID reference by Sonarworks? Sonarworks is a software that allows you to calibrate and flat your studio's frequency response at your listening position with the help of a measuring microphone that they can provide. The cost of the software and the microphone is around 300 euros, so it's definitely not cheap. I'm curious to see if it's worth it. I know that the software is solid because I saw professionals using it, but I never tried it, so I don't actually know, and I'm very curious to see if I'm gonna like it here in my studio. Talking about the studio, this is very important. My home studio is definitely not a professional studio. Can Sonarworks improve my listening experience here? I'm pretty sure that the app works very well in professional studios where the acoustic is already very good and you need maybe that extra 5 or 10%. Right now, I just want to see if in my home studio, which is definitely not a perfectly acoustic treated room, I can get something out of it. Don't get me wrong, my home studio here doesn't sound super bad. It actually sounds pretty good considering that I don't have proper studio treatment. Just to make it clear, here in my studio, I just have 10 foam panels, which are 1 meter squared, plus 2 couches, 1 carpet, and nothing on the ceiling, and that's it. I'm actually about to improve the acoustics with proper panels and bass traps. When I do it, I'll make sure to calibrate the studio again and again and potentially make videos about it. So you're gonna see Sonarworks for sure in future videos. Going back to Sonarworks, is the frequency response of your studio the most important thing? People focus a lot on having a flat frequency response at your listening position, which is great to have, of course, but first, it's basically impossible to have a perfectly flat frequency response in every room. And second, there are other things that are equally important to the frequency response, which are the reverb decay time and the speaker placement. Having a consistent and short reverb time across the whole frequency spectrum is very important, but also very difficult to achieve. It's probably the most difficult thing to achieve in a home studio. You have to compromise a bit, and it's totally fine as long as you have a very good listening experience at your listening position here. But that's something that is very important to consider, not just the frequency response. Proper monitor placement is equally important and way easier to achieve and understand, and it's the first thing you should think about when designing a new studio, especially in a home studio. So let's go and test. Disclaimer, this is not a sponsored video, but Sonarworks sent me this microphone and the software plus this t-shirt for free, but I'm gonna be brutally honest, even though I'm grateful for them to send me stuff, I'm actually quite nervous to see how my studio will be. Let's go and let's test, okay? Wow. Using the software is pretty fun. It feels like a mini game. I appreciate the care they put into showing you what to do. Everything they want you to do is crystal clear. Thanks to specific sounds, the software knows the distance between your speakers and the distance between your speakers and your microphone at any moment. To measure your room, it uses frequency sweeps. If you're doing multiple calibrations because you're adjusting the monitor placement to achieve the best result, you'll get pretty tired. I recently put my speakers in a different position and moved the desk a bit, so I wasn't sure how the setup will sound. Anyway, here's the result of my first calibration. I was actually shocked to see how flat the response actually looked. I was expecting worse, even though there are big bumps here and there, which I was already aware of. I also noticed that the sub was a little too loud. I wanted to do more experiments, so I set up the sub volume, low pass, cutoff, and phase to default and measured again. And wow, this is it. My choice to invert the phase was definitely right. As soon as I bought it, I immediately inverted the phase because it was something so much better this way. At this point, I understood that you can use Sonarworks not only to EQ your monitor setup, but to analyze your speakers, correct their placement, volume, and room corrections on the back. So you can calibrate, adjust, and calibrate again until your studio sounds the best possible. When your room sounds as flat as it can, that's when you can use Sonarworks Correction EQ to make it even more flat. You should aim to have the least aggressive curve you can achieve. I don't think it's worth using Sonarworks if your frequency response is all over the place. I also measured the speakers without the sub, because honestly, I don't really need the sub in my studio. The room is just too small and the treatment is not good enough to handle those low frequencies. Still, at the end, I managed to make it work like intended. The sub is there to extend the low end, not to boost it. The next day I listened to a lot of music with the calibration active, and I wasn't completely sure at first because I was very used to my studio sound, even though I knew it had some big problems around 90 Hz due to room modes. After listening to a lot of stuff and doing a lot of A/B, turning the correction EQ on and off, I'm convinced that my setup with Sonarworks sounds better. In my case, the top end feels pretty much the same, but the mids and the low definitely feel more flat and more detailed. On top of that, I was very surprised how the stereo image improved. I always had the feeling the elements in the center were a little bit blurry, especially vocals, but with Sonarworks, I can imagine the singer singing right in front of me. Do you absolutely need Sonarworks? My answer is no. You can definitely produce very good music even if your studio sounds so-so. And also, headphones are always there to help you out. But Sonarworks not only can improve the sound of your setup, but it also can tell you what's wrong in your studio, especially speaker placement. I just want to clarify something though. If you think that Sonarworks will make your speakers sound like professional studio monitors worth 10K each, you're very mistaken. I saw someone on the internet saying that Sonarworks will improve the sound of your speakers. No, it improves the frequency response of your studio at your listening position according to your speakers. It's conceptually very different. I already said a lot of good things about Sonarworks, but I don't think it's perfect. I feel it misses something still. Here's what I think. First, the software is all about the frequency response, but since they give you a measuring microphone, why not include some features that can help you understand and visualize the reverb time of your room and your room modes, something like that. What about speaker placement? Again, why not feature in the software some function that lets you know where you should put your speakers for the optimal frequency response? I think it could be very helpful. Room EQ Wizard is a very good free software that lets you analyze your room. Doesn't let you correct it like Sonarworks, but it's a great analyzing tool. It will be good to see all the features that Room EQ Wizard has implemented also in Sonarworks. I think it's definitely possible. Sonarworks feels way more precise and professional than Room EQ Wizard, even though it's a very, very good software, don't get me wrong. Why not? The last thing is that Sonarworks lets you take one measure at a time. I calibrate the exact same setup multiple times to see if the curve is actually consistent, and yes, it is, proof to the fact that the software really works. But there were some minor differences here and there. So why not letting me calibrate the exact same setup multiple times and then create like an average of all the measures that I did? I think it would make me feel much more confident about the result. Because when I first did my first calibration, the feeling was, did I do everything right? I should do that again. And the second time I thought the same, like, but let's do that again and again. So I'm pretty confused why they didn't add this feature. Maybe we'll see it integrated in future updates. I don't know. Right now, you have to take multiple measures and choose the best one. What's the best one? We don't know. That's the point. Final verdict, I like Sonarworks. Yes, I will definitely use it in the future because now that I try it, it got me thinking, how was I able to mix without it? Because it really helped me with that 90 Hertz frequency thing I was struggling with a lot here. It's definitely a very good investment for the studio, and also if you upgrade your studio, Sonarworks will be there to calibrate again and again. I definitely recommend buying the version with the measure microphone. I honestly think that having the version that allows you to calibrate your headphones alone is not really worth, and if you want to calibrate your studio, it's worth spending that extra $50 for the microphone. It's good to have software and hardware from the same brand because they're meant to work together. It just feels more reliable. So that's it, guys. Go check out Sonarworks yourself. You can find some affiliate link in the description. If you have questions, let me know in the comment section. I will make sure to reply. And that's it. See you next time. And let me know if you like this kind of video for the future. Bye bye.